I'm Sierra. You, just because we're friends, because we're mates, can call me Lesbian Rat Trap. As you can tell, the world's kind of going down the shitter. And to cope, I use what I've always used. Video game Yuri.
What the fuck did you just fucking say about me? You little bitch. I'll have you know, I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs. I have been involved in numerous secret raids in Al-Qaeda. And I have over 300 confirmed kills.
Set in the small fictional American college town of Blackwood Falls in the US state of Kentucky. At least I think. I genuinely have no source on that, and I just could have made it up in a dream. Knowing me, that's true. Monster Sweetheart is a romance-focused visual novel originally released in 2019 for free on the website itch.io as part of that year's Yuri Jam. And it genuinely changed me, which is kind of awkward to admit. The game helped me realize I was a lesbian and made me feel more comfortable with that label after spending a lot of years as a bisexual with a large preference for women. Just turned out that preference was 100%. I've never sort of saw this, but one of the characters I'll talk about later was my lesbian awakening, and admitting that to people is fucking horrifying. Especially since it's like the second worst character it could have been. It's Victoria Morris, the quirked up party girl with no self-awareness. But at least it wasn't Xanthi fucking Ellicott. The thing I adore most about this game are the characters. Given it's a visual novel, you'd hope they're good, and they definitely are. Each of them are surprisingly realistically flawed people. Some more than others. Except for Bae. Bae Adams is perfect, and she's amazing, and she literally does nothing wrong. And I won't accept fucking slander. Alright. Multiple characters are initially obnoxious, rude, shallow, or distant to some degree, and that just makes the unravelling of their character and plotline a lot more interesting to see how they grow and become better people alongside the protagonists themselves. Now, as you might presume, the monster part of this name suggests, this isn't just a normal romance-focused visual novel with, humans. A majority of the characters are actually based on classical universal monsters, you have your Dracula, you got your Frankenstein, stuff like that. And others are cryptids and just other monsters and folklore like that. All of which hide in plain sight pretending to be human. Only one of the romanceable characters is actually a human, the whole one, and that is Blake Jones. I love her so much. She's such a dickhead, but in the best possible way. I first played this game in around mid-January of this year, being 2025, and since then it's soared to being literally my favourite game of all time. Now, does this mean it's perfect? Not really. It has some pretty noticeable flaws in my opinion, especially with a specific character's route. Not a big fan. Although I do realise not everyone's going to see those as flaws, and that's perfectly fine, of course. But seriously, I still adore and love this game with all my heart, despite seeing some of its features as flaws. But seriously, in the last 6 months, this game has had a genuine chokehold on me. Look at my fucking phone wallpaper. That's Blake Jones. No, it's not. It's Bae Adams. It's Bae Adams right there. I fucking love her. I'll never be apart from my beloved now. Put it in my pocket. Boom. Bae Adams in my pocket. Isn't that so fucking cool? This video is kind of just my way to get my thoughts out there and hopefully get more people interested in playing the game, as it's extremely underrated and unknown. Basically, everyone I know has no clue this exists, and like whole 2 people that do, there's no way I'm going to rant about half a decade old Monster Yuri 2. So throughout the next 2 hours somehow or something, I'm going to be going through the major selling point of this game, the characters. At least the first 3. I'm talking about the personalities, summarise the routes just enough for someone who hasn't played it before, and give my opinions on each, as well as touching on the unique gameplay mechanics the developer Llonelly has placed in them. Also, quick note, the menu music is insanely gorgeous in this game. I love it. It somehow gives me nostalgia for a whole 7 months ago. I'll play it for a few seconds for you. That's it, that's all you're getting. If you want to listen to yourself, go download the game. It's in the description. But now it's time to talk about our protagonist, Jalen Lawson herself.
Oh, I'm just fucking with you. I'm good.
Don't do that shit, man. I've got a heart condition, dude.
Oh, come on, Charlie. Don't be like that.
No, dude, seriously, I have a pacemaker. Like, I don't mind the joke, but just like not with the heart stuff. Don't mess with the heart stuff.
Jaylene, our main protagonist, is a 24-year-old college student and isn't like a typical dating sim protagonist. From what I've seen, most dating sims or visual novels, the main character is typically a renameable empty vessel without much of a set identity. Kind of more an audience surrogate the player can literally imagine is themselves over a pre-established character. Like, you're making out with Victoria Morris, not Jaylene. Which is apparently supposed to be pronounced Jaylin. That's hard for me, so it's Jaylene. And anyone who pronounces it correctly is wrong and stupid and dumb. So yeah, she's a complete opposite of a blank slate. She actually has personality. Is it a nice personality? Debatable. A good portion of her dialogue choices in, especially the prologue, portray her as someone who pushes a good portion of the people she meets away. As we'll come to learn, this is more a coping mechanism to not get closer to people in fear of getting hurt, and that mask she betrays works very well. Primarily, the only people who give a shit about her, it's because they're attracted to her. Which, I mean, fair. Have you seen her? Like, what? Xanthi, Blake, Lyell, and to a lesser extent, but still counts Victoria, are all friendly with her largely because they're into her. The two other mathematical characters aren't really overly friendly with her at the start of the game. Bay, mainly due to her anxiety and antisocial attitude, and Leanne, because she's just a dick to everyone. The only people who are friendly with her simply just to be friends are Taylor, one of her college acquaintances, and Sierra, one of her roommates, who was the best fucking character in this game, by the way. She's literally me. It goes beyond just kinning or twinning. Like, I'm psionically connected with her.
Yeah, but who could resist me?
Me.
Good point. So, lunch at your work today?
No.
You mean the English no or the Spanish no?
They mean the same thing in both languages.
Do they though? So, lunch? 1 a.m.?
Speaking of Sierra, she's actually the first character we meet, although we have a quick scene before she's actually introduced. The game starts in their shared bedroom, as Jaylene is in the middle of some fucked up little dream. There's voices whispering ominous shit in her head, referencing how it saved her. Hearing voices isn't really usual on my end, but Jaylene kind of just doesn't acknowledge it. I'm actually not 100% clear if the text, or the voice, is a canonical thing Jaylene also hears, but ignores due to the fact that she's just used to it. Or it's more just for the player to be hinted towards the fact that there's more to both the game, its plot, and Jaylene herself. And honestly, I completely forget this happens every time I replay this game, because it only comes up during like the second to last route, and very briefly in the last one being a sort of looming mystery we're holding on to until that very end of the game. Jaylene wakes up as we're probably introduced to Sierra. It's hard to properly describe her outside of using words like really fucking weird. Jaylene's kind of this reluctant big sister figure to the immature Sierra.
And get dressed and be quiet from here to there. I may buy you a milkshake.
She also has the most iconic lines in this entire game, where she truly blasts them left, right, and center in the final route. Although admittedly that route is just written insanely well and is quotable as shit. Sierra and the next character we'll be introduced to, Lexi, aren't particularly relevant to the overall plot of the game, but they are their side characters the most scenes, appearing in essentially every single route multiple times. This first scene here is really hilarious to me for a few reasons. One, my name is Sierra, and the first line in this game is my name screamed at the top of a voice actor's lung.
Sierra!
And two, I thought we were playing as her. For some reason, I wasn't really paying attention. But I was used to visual novel protagonists being non-voiced, or the side characters being voiced. Sierra's not voiced, Jaylene is. That like made me tweak out. I also got Jaylene and Victoria confused, thinking they were the same person, as Jaylene is not shown very specifically in the games page, and they look exactly the fucking same. Literally, I've made this joke a bunch playing for this game. But you could convince me they were like sisters, and I'd be like, yeah, obviously, bro, you know that, bro, yeah. Like, there was this piece of artwork Lonely, the developer, just recently put up, and it's like Jaylene begged Victoria or something, and I didn't know who was on screen. It's apparently Victoria, but I thought it was Jaylene for like a solid minute before I realised, oh, that's Victoria. They look exactly the same, but that's not what this is about. This is about how I thought they were the same here. I was like, oh, cute, one of the romance options is our bitchy little roommate. That's fun. Nah. I was very much proven wrong when the next scene continued with Jaylene's perspective, showing our next character, Lexi. As Jaylene leaves her room, we're introduced to Lexi. She's one of the other housemates Jaylene shares her place before going to the local college. She's kind of a stereotypical snobbish, uptight, rich, white valley girl. She's alright, I guess, but I'd say most of her character comes from her dynamic with Sierra. Lexi absolutely fucking hates her. But Sierra sees her as a friend, so I have this kind of funny one-sided dynamic that Lexi only puts up with because no one fucking likes her. She's not full-on loser loner tier that the other three housemates are. We'll meet the third one last year. But she's not popular enough to be invited to like the big parties on campus. As I said, we're introduced to our final housemate, and actually our last romanceable character, despite the fact that the first we meet. The only character in this household who actually knows what the fuck they're doing. Legend! Man, I love her. I love her so much. She's like this no-life nerd who's never gotten pussy in her life before, who like lives off flirting with women who don't like her back. Namely Jaylene. She's kind of just like, if you've played Mass Effect, just picture as Kane Malenko. Like, you know, you got all these cool ass aliens. They're really cool, they got these sick ass personalities and backstories, and then Caden's there.
Big place. Big place. Man, big place.
It's that, but monsters instead. I love her with all my heart. She gives me the vibe of that type of guy that'll play Wonderwall, girl she likes, and isn't over her ex. But like if they were a lesbian, like a hardcore lesbian. This isn't a slight to the character. I absolutely adore her. I just think she's one of the most funniest characters in this game. The two, being Jaylene and Blake, have the sort of flirtatious banter throughout the game, which was endearing enough not only to me, but everyone who played this game, as she got her own route like 6 months after the game was initially released. So she wasn't one of the initial 5 romanceable characters. Also, I'd like to mention in the scene with Blake, we have our first of many odd little timeline mistakes. I'll just read the line out for you. Gotta get my reading voice ready. I see Blake behind the counter, scrolling on her phone. So for context, this game is based in September to October 2001. What phone is she scrolling on? Her BlackBerry? Nokia? She's watching Grandma on her pager?
Bombardiro crocodilo.
There's other scenes as well. In Victoria's route, Jaylene makes a direct reference to Pinterest. And in Bay's, she explicitly quotes the B-movie. I'm trying not to sound critical because I love these weird little continuity errors. They're super cute and really endearing. And if they weren't there, the game wouldn't be the same. It's kind of like if you've seen the like 1980 Transformers show. That's right, the franchise that has the giant robot
Locating the man.
And Jeff Bezos if he had a soul.
Done! How do you say get the fuck out of the way in Chinese?
I'm mentioning this here because that's what this channel was actually supposed to be about before the gas leak began and I started doing this. So that first show has a multitude of weird little animation errors. like characters are duplicated. There's like 3 star streams or something at one time. There's like, you know, they're supposed to be massive. Sometimes they'll be like human sized, or like Optimus is like green, shit like that. So that's part of the experience, you know, watching it, it'll grow on you. And the timeline errors in this game have a similar effect for me. You know, it wouldn't be the same thing without those weird little moments that make it so much more enjoyable. While we're here, I'd like to talk about the teased update as well. A few months back from writing this, so it's probably longer now, Lonely teased an update for the game, and then recently showed a sneak peek of Victoria Moritz's redesign, which, while objectively better, I'm having a hard time getting used to, and I know I will once it comes out. I'll probably cry. I am autistically attached to Victoria's original design, and any change is bad. Old Victoria looks like she'd call me a slur 7 times, apologise, and then call me a slur an extra 3 times, because 10 is an aesthetically pleasing number. But new Victoria, she'd cry if she stepped on a bug. There's no way in hell that woman's gonna bully anyone, let alone her best friend. Seriously though, I love you, Lonely, I love your shit. I do have very mixed feelings about what the redesign does mean, though, well, the new design is, again, objectively better. I know I'm gonna miss the original so much. They add to that little charm that I was talking about earlier, you know, like, I'm honestly worried that the new redesign, a new update, new recut, whatever you want to call it, will rewrite a good amount of the things or patch out every reason I love this game. I like it when it doesn't take itself too seriously, on purpose or not. I like the goofy but endearing character designs. I adore the really odd parts. And if the update changes these, I'll definitely still play it, I'll still like it. Hell, I might even make a video on changes, who knows. But it might not be my favourite game anymore. But honestly, that's okay. Things change, and I'm happy to see this game still get loved and updated after like 6 fucking years. That's awesome. Especially since Cryptid Courting, the planned spin-off, got canned. Sadly, that game didn't even have like a hot, buff, hairy butch woman that's like Bigfoot. Big missed opportunity. Big missed opportunity, Lonely. We're following Jaylene to her college class as we meet Xanthi Alucard. Taylor's there too, she's cool. She's a pretty minor character. She doesn't particularly have a developed personality, only really appearing here in the prologue to get the plot along, and plays a semi-important role in the last route, but that's about it really. Xanthi is one of the romanceable characters, and she's my least favourite. I really don't like her at all. Taylor mentions an event called the Monster Sweethearts Dance. Title drop already? Holy shit, this game's good. It's the yearly Halloween dance the Puck College does. No matter the dialogue options we choose, Xanthi will chime in, making a shitty, half-assed, flirtatious comment to Jaylene.
I can help you meet your monster sweetheart if you need me to.
So we quickly understand what her character archetype is, being a openly flirty femme. It wasn't clear in this game's page with Xanthi's little fang motif and a picture of her biting Jaylene. She's a vampire. Also, her surname is Alucard, so it's not much of a mystery. So we learn a bit more about Jaylene. She's an English major who values conformity, peace and normality. Given the entire plot of this game is her learning monsters are real, her life isn't going to stay that way for long. As she arrives to class, we meet our third romanceable character, Lyell. She's here. She fits kind of the bad boy archetype. I guess bad girl, but that sounds a lot weirder to say. She's kind of aggressive to Jaylene, outright insulting her during one of the dialogue options. The sheriff, another side character, comes in, berates Lyell for sneaking into a classroom and fucking tugs her out. I don't really have strong opinions on both of those characters. They're there, as you can tell by the whole 5 words describing each. But who I do have strong opinions on, positive ones, mainly. Here, we meet our 4th romantic, Victoria Moritz. She's fucking here, baby! Jaylene leaves her class as it ends, hearing a mysterious person run towards her. This is where we're introduced to one of the main gameplay mechanics, the instinct versus reason choices. So essentially these are pretty similar to basic dialogue choices, but will have more overt plot impacts, at least at the end of the routes. Essentially, instinct is violence and reason is diplomacy. Diplomats, fucking hell. Either decision leads us to this mysterious figure, of course being Victoria Moritz. Yay! She's my favourite. I fucking love her so much, despite her many, many flaws. She's one of our first three, as I like to call them. Essentially, alongside two other characters we'll meet soon, who are Lyell, Bay, and Victoria. I can't believe we got those fucking names. I'm such a fake fan right now. So they're the first routes we can play. The three I will be covering in this video. So, if you played other dating sims, visual novels, whatever, this game's a lot different with how it does them. How it does the routes, I should say. So, you start with Victoria, Bay, and Lyell's routes being accessible. You have to unlock both the good and bad endings for them to unlock Xanthie's. Do the endings for her to unlock Leanne's, do her endings to unlock Blake's, the final one. So anyway, back to Victoria. From what we see, she's a pretty ignorant, shallow, popular party girl who clings to Jaylene, of all people. This is because they were childhood best friends, but they had this big, unspecified, as of now, falling out. Jaylene rightfully hates Victoria, although she has some unresolved mixed feelings towards her, with Victoria kind of just pretending Jaylene likes her more than she actually does. Kind of a similar dynamic with Sierra and Lexi, where one hangs off the other one who hates them, at least for the start of her route and the rest of the routes. The relationship changes and grows really fast throughout Victoria's route itself, and the dynamic really makes me love that route as my favourite of the entire game, being the only character with an actual pre-game connection to Jaylene aside from Blake. Also, the observant might notice something. Wait, what's that?
Enhance. Enhance. Enhance.
Victoria's neck veins look a little bit odd. I never noticed this until writing the script, and I cannot believe it was there the entire time. I've played this route, Victoria's route, like 4 fucking times, and I just never noticed. This is some like Mandela effect bullshit right here, I swear to God. It makes me go insane. It's funny how in her redesign, it's just gone. So I can't like poke fun at the joke and be like, oh, how did no one notice that? Even though I never noticed it. Kind of ironic. Jaylene and Sierra head to the diner, the business they both work part-time at, and probably like one of the few businesses in the town. On the way, which they walk to, because I imagine neither of them have their licenses. Not that I think anyone would trust these people to drive.
Back out. You got it.
They bump into someone. Literally. Okay, we make Bay! Yay!
You guys like me as a person? And
yeah, duh.
Heck yeah.
It's a no for me.
Would you ever want to hang out socially? Okay. Well, thanks anyway.
We love you.
Thanks.
I love Bay. I love them all. I love them, except for Xanthie. Fuck her. She literally bumps into Sierra. Neither of them were particularly paying attention to where they were walking to. And no matter the dialogue options, we get this really small, awkward conversation between the three, as Jaylene and Sierra kind of scoot off because they're going to be late for work, kind of just leaving her there. It's like a bump on her head or something. We get to see Bay's personality here, even if it's only like 4 maximum lines. She's antisocial, quiet, but very obviously a sweet, apologetic, and caring person. The duo arrive for their shift and get settled. Eventually we meet the last romanceable character, Lyell White Knight Howling. Again, if you know what Transformers is, just imagine her as the butch lesbian equivalent to Silverbolt and you get the idea.
Oh no, you're not saving my life again, even after I shot you?
It's my duty, ma'am, as a Maximal and as a heroic character.
Even if I use the White Knight term jokingly, she is genuinely a good person, and next to Bay is probably one of the few characters without a large noticeable flaw, although she's not perfect. I'll talk about that more in her section, of course. To set the scene, Jaylene's a young woman in a diner who caters to middle-aged men. It's not fun. A guy gets handsy and Lyell intervenes, saving Jaylene from a potentially dangerous situation. Lyell's shown here to be a pretty reserved but sweet and almost heroic character. She's a regular at the diner and pretty well known around town for her carpentry, even if she does keep to herself and is largely, well, a hermit. We're also shown here that she is very clearly interested in Jaylene, attempting to ask her out before stopping herself out of embarrassment. What actually begins, Jaylene closing up for the night at the diner, taking out the trash as Leanne runs out of the bushes looking like that. Xanthie and Taylor run out, attempting to stop her, Taylor then freaks out at Lyell, claiming that she can't just shift in front of humans like that. Lyell then turns from the monster we see now to the human we saw in the college scene, introducing us to the shifting, an ability in this game's lore that monsters can do. Shifting is essentially just a monster turning into a human, or vice versa, to blend in. Eventually, the housemates run up and take Jaylene home as the monster trio eventually give up. In the next scene, we're introduced to the greatest running gag in this entire game, with Sierra consistently referring to Lexi and her as Team Sexy. Thank you, Lonely, for pre-creating us this ship name, because yes, I do religiously ship them. I don't care how straight Lexi is, it's called fiction for a reason. The next day, Jaylen's heading to class. He's forced into a small side room of the college, in the middle of a fight, seeing all the main characters we've met previously but Blake. We get a quick introduction to some of the character dynamics here, even if they don't really come up past this scene itself, as each character is more or less separated from the larger group in their own routes. Lyell bullies Bay, but in that kind of I'm the only one allowed to bully you way. Both the sheriff and Taylor command at least some sort of authority in the group, with both taking charge here. Bay is pretty by the books, wanting to get the work done, and is surprisingly outspoken compared to what we saw in her introduction. And finally, both Xanthi and Lyell don't really give a fuck. They're just here to mess with people for their own amusement. And Victoria and Lyell are kind of just in the corner. So Taylor introduces the group, as she admits every person in this room is a monster and monsters are real. Jaylene freaks out, as she's inducted into the Monster Sweethearts Planning Committee! Woo! Taylor introduces the dance as a way for the local monster community to kind of shed their shell and pretend to be what they really are for just one night. I have a small nitpick in this scene though. Jaylene has no reaction whatsoever to learning Victoria, her childhood best friend for like 20 years, is a monster. It's not stated what she is at this moment, as it's important to her route story. And I know they haven't had like a genuine conversation in the previous 5 years of the story, but that would at least constitute some sort of reaction, right? Like, I read one fanfic that I think it was called Fixing It, where like it did it really well, but actually acknowledging it and having Jaylene be rightfully confused and kind of pissed off that she, as far as she knows, was able to hide that for 20 years. Anyway, Xanthi's here. She pipes up. I don't like her, but she's like, hey Jaylene, what's your type? And that would be a really funny scene if it wasn't fucking Xanthi. I don't like her one bit. Anyway, here we have the free dialogue options, which will decide which of the first 3 beginning routes we have access to. Choosing Butch gives us Lyell.
No problem.
Choosing No Preference gives us Bay, and Femme, my wife, always and forever.
My glorious king, my head of the table, my MLK, my savior.
Victoria Moritz.
Once we pick one, the prologue will end and lead to our chosen route. So I really want to praise the voice acting in this game, even though it's only in the prologue itself. It's done really well overall. Jaylene, Blake, Victoria, Xanthi, Lyell, and Lyell are all voiced, leaving Bay the only primary character not to be. I think each person does a really good job, aside from the occasional gripe I have.
That's great! We had to keep Xanth from starting any of her dissuasions.
So for whatever reason, some lines are voiced and some aren't.
Matter Victoria. Don't worry, I like my women in one piece.
But anyway, that's not a big deal. For whatever reason, for the longest time, I thought every single voice actor was a volunteer, until I randomly found out the game had an IMDb page, and found out that they were all legitimate actors that Lonely, the dev, had paid. Just a funny note I'd like to mention is that we can hear a mouse click with one of Lyell's lines.
So, I gave her one.
Women! So, what did you say?
It's much funnier to me than it has any right to be. Leanne's actress also does pretty well, but I feel the writing in the prologue for her lines kind of takes it down a bit. Her dialogue isn't really entertaining, and it feels mostly awkward and stunted. So honestly, I think the prologue is a really good start for this game. It does what it needs to do effectively. I mean, I'm here, you're here, so obviously it's good. It introduces us to every character and everything relevant, shows us the dynamics of the characters we'll come to learn more about, it dangles some plot hooks and mysteries like with Victoria and Lyell, and ends exactly where it needs to be. It doesn't have any padding that isn't needed, and is genuinely It's really good, and there's no way I think it can be made better. So, that's the prologue, that's your introduction. We're done, we can get to the actual game now. And we are going to begin with the best character in this game. I've said that for like 7 other characters. And my initial favourite, Bay Adams.
I will rip you from this tank, put you in a pan with a coat of butter on it, sear both sides, and serve you to a rich family at a rich restaurant if you don't start talking to me.
I love Bay so fucking much. And just between you and me, I actually got the Bay haircut for a while and I fucking rocked it. The shaved side is iconic as hell. But you know what I'm not rocking? This outfit. I had this whole bit planned where I was gonna dress vaguely like the characters, but it might already end here, because just look at this, I can't wear this for much longer. So each route begins with Jaylene having a quick conversation with Blake, talking about whatever character's route we've started. Blake kind of serves some exposition here, cementing the information we've already kind of learnt in the prologue previously. Essentially just, she's the college swimmer, she sucks at walking, she's anxious, but she's a fucking wonder in the water. So Bay's route kind of follows a pattern of Jaylene going to the local lake to interact with its mysterious, intelligent fish. We'll soon come to learn to call the creature of Blackwater, avoid the suspiciously protective lake manager Skylar, slowly see more and more of a strange disease spreading, which this was made in 2019. Lonely, did you know something? And plan the Monster Sweetheart dance with Bay. It's pretty linear in that sense, where we just go from independent scene to independent scene that slowly works to uncover the overall plot of the route. So, our first proper scene of this route is with Jaylene and Bay brainstorming some ideas for the dance's music playlist. Being the only members in the team who actually do work, Bay makes a recommendation for an expensive music setup, and with some pushback, Jaylene eventually agrees. So, when Sierra asks something, it's an instant fucking no, but when the hot, athletic, tall, buff, sweet, intelligent swimmer does it, it's okay. But no, Bay is genuinely the sweetest, most perfect person in this game. And if these people were real, Bay would be the only person I'd willingly hang out with. Okay, so following the planning, we immediately go to the local music shop for the equipment, as we're introduced to Chrissy, a pretty inconsequential side character, who is like one of the solid 3 who don't have a sprite, and one of the 2 only straight people in this entire game. As Bay plans with Chrissy, Jaylene takes a minute to scrounge through local audiobooks, which I actually didn't realise were a thing in 2001. Yes, I'm a zoomer. No, I don't know how to use a rotary phone. She sees one about the local myth labelled the creature of Blackwater, to which she comments, "Why is everything black? Everything but the fucking characters." Was that not a good one? I'm sorry. That wasn't funny, was it? We get the mention of Victoria Moritz, that's cool, as Jaylene reminisces about her going cryptid hunting. Fucking hell. Going cryptid hunting as kids, attempting to find the creature. We come back here later for an extra scene as well. The greatest scene in the history of gaming.
You like jazz?
That's right, if you forgot this game was made in 2019, you're sure as hell gonna be reminded. I love this scene, it's so fucking goofy and out of place. Especially because the B-movie comes out 6 years after this game is set. Remember, this game is set in 2001. Now I'd like to reiterate that I fucking love these scenes, they're goofy as hell, and the reason why I love this game as much as I do. I really hope they don't get removed in the next update, which I'm presuming might be like a 2.0 or something. Because if they do, they better be replaced with something equally as ridiculous. Have Victoria collect Labubu's or some shit. Like, that would be the greatest thing on earth. As I said, a lot of the fluff in this route involves the planning and execution of the dance itself. And so this allows us to spend a lot more time with the characters we normally want outside the route, if they even have one. We get scenes of Sanfie, Victoria, Taylor, and even the sheriff. It is a big part of the reason why I love this route, connecting the other characters in an organic way that isn't really seen in the other routes, as most of them are more or less self-contained, minus a scene or 2. One of the characters shown is, as I said, sadly, Sanfie. So tuned. As much as she tries to come off as charismatic, she really ain't. She's not demure, not cutesy. She's very brazen, very toxic. She's characterized pretty icky to me. Her entire character is flirting with Jaylene to the point of making her uncomfortable, not taking no for an answer. Look, I can get that there's appeal to the whole flirty vampire archetype, it's just not for me. We're also introduced to the fact that Jaylene isn't aware of her own sexuality, with Xanthi again pushing her on it. She continues to essentially harass Jaylene about topics she's not comfortable talking about. I think I might have mentioned one or twice. I don't particularly like her. We get our first Blackwater scene, which is what the lake is called. Essentially, they're pretty split up throughout the route, but it's going to be a lot easier to just talk about them as one. So Jaylene has been tasked with an English essay about the local pollution. As she goes to the lake, she sees a strange little fish looking back at her. As you can see by the image, that's not a fish. But she's not the brightest character in this game, especially Bay's route. So look, I'll give her some slack, she's going through some shit. Before she's able to actually look at the fish, she's pulled back by a woman named Skylar! Skylar's cool as fuck, I love her. She needs more content though. She has like 12 lines or something, and it's all about the fish. She's one of the side characters in this game, and each route will have at least about 2 side characters that appear solely in that route, be they the antagonists or supporting characters like Skylar. Okay, so I'm gonna run some stuff by you. Bay makes almost direct references to going to Blackwater and knowing Skylar before correcting herself. Later on, Bay and Jaylene will have a brief divide, leaving the fish visibly saddened by her presence. Then we see... Oh fuck. I forget how fucking hot Bay is, like, what was it? Planning! They're trying to work out how to accommodate the aquatic monsters, and apparently the entire budget for this can only get them a kiddie pool. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about... Stupid sexy Bay, fuck. What we're talking about is Victoria. She's being insensitive as ever, creating cardboard cutouts of universal monsters. As a little kid, throws a dart directly into one that is the creature of the Black Lagoon. Bay freaks the fuck out. So keep that all in mind. I'm gonna present a conspiracy theory to you. They might be one and the same. Bay and the creature. No. Before you throw tomatoes at me, Sierra, not me, the character, she's connected this together too. We're on the same wavelength right now. She's pieced together that in the myth, the creature can transform into a human and walk on land, even though they suck at it. You know. Essentially, the lake scenes get a lot weirder as Jaylene spots a lot more anomalies with the fish, as Skylar gets a lot more protective. We finally get a full view of the creature, who totally isn't Bay. Trust me guys, I wouldn't lie to you. I can't really show this, so I may need to censor a bit of it. It's not that bad, but also that's a fish pussy. She emerges to hug Jaylene. I don't really need to explain further, you can see the image yourself. Sadly, before it gets steamy, Skylar runs up and cucks us. Well, maybe more appropriately me. I was really excited there, man. Over the next few scenes, Jaylene is combating the fact that her weird little human-sized fish monster pet girlfriend buddy thing might just be a big fish. It's worth noting as well that the creature can understand English, but she can't communicate back, only grunting, which does support her whole thought process that even if she likes the fish somehow, whatever weird friendship they have is more like one you'd have with an animal than anything. This erupts as the two are hanging out. The creature starts kissing her. Jaylene is freaked out by this, which is really fucking fair. Because what would that feel like? Is it like, would it rub against your skin? Is it scaly, or is it a biologically accurate fishlet? Is it? What would that... I don't want to imagine what that feels like anymore. No. Okay, I'm with Jaylene on this one. She, like, freaks out, pushes them away, and is like, you're an animal, get off me? Not the best way you could have handled that. In another scene, Jaylene's avoidance of wanting anything with the fish is explained in more detail. Later on, their relationship grows in whatever way it is growing, and Jaylene admits that she does like fish who totally isn't Bay, but just can't be with her. She sees it as wrong, and even if she didn't, they live completely different lives. You know, one's in the water, one's not. That's not really something she just has the capacity to deal with. So let's go to the housemates for a second. When Jaylene gets home in the midst of another argument between Lexi and Sierra, as she's trying to convince Lexi that the girl who runs the local department store is a witch. I'm purely talking about the scene, which has no plot relevance for two reasons. One, the witch here actually does appear in Lyell's route. A cute little detail that attaches the other routes here, giving some world building and cementing Blackwood as what you could imagine is a real place. 2. How the hell does Lexi not believe in witches? Come on, this girl believes in horoscopes and crystals, look at her. So this is where the plot actually thickens, as we get our first horror scene. You thought this game was a silly little Yuri. No, it has monsters in the name, so you know it's gonna be scary. Jaylin sees bugs crawling through her skin, then they kind of disappear. I guess it was some hallucination, but it's not really specified or explained later on, it kind of just happens. The image itself is already really fucking icky, but you know what makes it worse? The skittering bug noises that Lonely added as a sound effect. I don't like that. It genuinely makes me feel itchy and I fucking hate it. The horror scenes in this game is pretty good, but they aren't really my thing. I think Lyell's route does it really fucking well with its whole suspense going on throughout the route, but aside from that I don't really get anything out of it, as some are genuinely just kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's jump scares.
Oh, what large teeth you have! I mean white sparkling teeth. I know you probably hear this all the time from your food, but you must bleach or something, because that is one dazzling smile you got there.
I'm here to see Jaylin make out with a fish lady first and foremost, god damn it. I just want to mention here how absolutely adorable Jaylin and Bay's dynamic is in this route. All their funny banter genuinely makes me smile. It's really sweet to see Bay, the character who, if anyone else, is largely quiet or hesitant, as extremely outgoing when she's with Jaylin. I really love Bay. She was my initial favourite character before I replayed Victoria's route on my second playthrough with the background information we learn about her later on, and truly appreciated her story and character. Bay is just the sweetest. Many of the other characters have some big moment where they, intentionally or not, lead Jaylin into some sort of big danger. Bay doesn't really have that moment. In a later scene, we do see Bay being worried for Jaylin as she's getting closer to monster politics and culture, because it's just inherently dangerous for a human to be there. We get a quick scene of Bay as she gives Jaylin a gift, a mixtape. As you complete each route, you unlock a memento related to whatever character's route you've completed. Once you complete Bay's, the menu will add the new mixtape in the corner. Interacting with it will play some cute little royalty-free music. I really love the detail of the mementos. They didn't really need to be there, but the game would not be the same without them. Bay's, Victoria, and Xanthi's are all gifts given directly by the characters to Jaylin herself, and it just makes it feel, I guess, more real. It's kind of hard to explain my feelings on them, but they are my favourite part of the game, genuinely. It makes completing the routes a lot more impactful and reinforces any connection we might have grown with the characters. Which, as embarrassing as it is to admit, I am very connected to these characters, and these mementos give such a bittersweet feeling. Like, damn, I've completed this game so many times and I'll never be able to go back and play it for the first time again. And they kind of feel like real gifts to remember the experience of first playing the game and discovering these characters. I briefly mentioned it in the intro, but I do have a real connection to this game. When I played it in January, I wasn't really in a good headspace. I had a lot of bad things going on in my life and didn't have anyone to talk to about it. Monster Sweethearts felt comforting. Seeing this cute world of characters I relate to, it was escapism when I really needed it, and the game made me feel comfortable being a lesbian, a label I had been grappling a lot with. Sorry for the rant there, it may be the first, but it's not going to be the last in this video. This game does genuinely mean everything to me. It's my favourite game for a reason. I may be sometimes kind of critical of it, but it's because I love it. That's the way I show love to pieces of media I adore. Anyway, back to the Yuri, the reason I'm here. As the two are creating more cardboard cutouts of monsters for the party, they get real close. But before anything can actually happen, Victoria comes. I love her, but damn girl, read the room. She's all like, oh my god, bestie, let's get buzzed the fucking party together tonight. I'll be with you like the whole time. As we see in her out, she would not be. After that, we get a bit more vague cuteness as she gives Jaylene some homemade lunch. And oh my god, that shit looks fucking amazing. Anyway, Bae attempts to teach Jaylene how to use chopsticks, which she fails miserably. I guess Bae's much better than her hands with Jaylene. Get it? Because she's a lesbian. So if you've played the game Life is Strange, you might remember the scene where the two protagonists have a cute little moment as they like ski dip in the pool or whatever they do. I don't really remember, I haven't played that game in a while, but it's something like that, alright? I still can't listen to that game's soundtrack without crying like a baby, by the way. That game ruined me. So anyway, this is the part of the game that I can't do justice no matter how hard I try, the proper romance scenes. This game is genuinely amazing at them. Once the characters' relationships truly start, typically near the end of the route, the scenes are genuinely really well written and really moving. The music, the writing, and the character dynamics all come together into this absolute wonder of gay writing that makes me giggle and kick my feet. So, if you're anything like me, this is the part you're looking forward to. They swim together as Bae gets closer, admitting that she loves Jaylene. And we get this adorable love confession as Bae lists off everything she loves about Jaylene. So I hadn't really mentioned it earlier, but in the background, Sierra has been drinking a lot of water, like a lot. With what seems like it'd just be a weird background detail throughout the route, goes crazy as she starts vomiting up liquid with fucking bugs crawling inside her. Jaylene, for the first time in her life, puts two and two together and realizes that, guys, it might be the water. Jaylene and Blake realize the only reason they aren't currently vomiting up bugs is because they drink bottled water. And in this scenario, I would, fittingly, given we share a name, be in exactly Sierra's situation. I drink purely tap water, and way too much of it. I would be absolutely fucked. But, Jaylene and Blake should be ashamed of their wasteful use of plastic bottles. Like, do you think these guys are recycling? No. Anyway, Jaylene rushes off to the lake before Sierra becomes worse. Shit is going down, my friends. It's time for action, and this little lesbian can throw hands. Jaylene convenes with Skylar. Throughout the route, Skylar has been mentioning a mysterious them, going so far to accuse Jaylene of being with them. Here we learn who she's talking about. It's the government.
I don't want to hear nothing you have to say that starts off with the government.
That's right, the shit goes deep. It's a conspiracy. They've been polluting the lake to get to Bae, and they have, taking her when Skylar was out. A mysterious woman in an absolutely amazing outfit comes out. I fucking love this design so much. Except for the hat, it looks really weird and I don't know how it's supposed to work. Anyway, throughout the route, she's been appearing off and on, stalking both Bae and Jaylene. But here she finally introduces herself as Van fucking Helsing. That's right, Hugh Jackman himself is here, but instead of slaying vampires or whatever he does in that movie, he's a hot lesbian in lover here to save the day. She explains she was hired by a government organisation called Miriam who works under the university. They hired her to hunt down what she was told was the dangerous creature of Blackwater, but stopped, seeing that it just kind of like hung around and made out with Jaylene.
So why not let's just go there?
Skylar's pretty buff, and certainly Van Helsing has a gun or two. She hunts monsters. But this, my friends, is a video game. Side characters are never helpful in any sequence like this. It's like my first time playing Oblivion again, and doing that last mission to save the world, and the best the entire continent can muster is like 5 town guards. It's hilarious because Van Helsing's all like, oh, I can't go to the uni anymore because I've been banned. As if she's not breaking in anyway. We're finally in the home stretch of this very long route as Jaylene makes her way through the maintenance tunnels of the university. Eventually, she's assaulted by a zombie thing. We've seen a few of these around the route, and they're caused by this mysterious disease Sierra has, upping the stakes on saving her. We first see these zombies pretty early on in a scene where Jaylene collapses and Bae has to bridal carry her away. It's pretty funny because it's used a lot in both the game itself and in the non-canon fics that Lonely wrote for the art book. So this is where one of the worst parts of the game happens. Lonely had the idea to put quick time events in a visual novel. Sure, that's cool on paper, but I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't work in this game. They are way too hard, and both Victoria and Blake's route have this really weird gameplay mechanic during action scenes that I think would service the game much better without. This isn't like the Walking Dead games, where the gameplay is split between making decisions that won't actually matter in the long run, or matching X to not die. And for context, I don't hate the games, I love them. And even if I didn't, they have a really special place in my heart, as these games were my gateway drug to Life is Strange, which led to fan-made visual novels, which led to Resident Lover, which finally led to Monster Sweethearts. So in some really weird way, I wouldn't be talking about this right now if I hadn't played the Walking Dead games. And that was a really long-winded way of saying that, wow. I adore this game, but the parts like this make it really hard to go through on a replay. Thankfully there's not too much of them, and there is a trick with the quick time events, specifically this one, that makes them slightly less worse. Just before you die, there's usually some dialogue describing whatever fucked up death Jaylene has today. But if you just go back for the dialogue, it allows us to retry the last QTE. Fending off the zombie, eventually Jaylene finds a large pool. Laying in it is the creature, very obviously tortured. We're introduced to the lead scientist here. He's unnamed, but who is named is a mysterious woman named Miss Jackson. But we don't see her, the scientist mistakes Jaylene for her. Miss Jackson is an extremely relevant character to the overall plot of the game. Something I didn't particularly realize or pay attention enough to on even my first few playthroughs. I was here for the Yuri, okay, my fucking bad. To officially complete each route and unlock the next one, you need to do both the bad and good endings to the route. And I, while writing for this video, got the bad one, which is in total the second time I ever accidentally got a bad ending, the other being my first playthrough of Xantry's route. I presume it's because in the scene of Victoria, I chose the dialogue option where Jaylene's like, romance is dead and I spit upon it. So the mysterious scientist mentioned just before introduces us to the concept of monsters going feral, something we'll see a few times in the game. He shoots the creature and pushes Jaylene into the pool. Each bad ending in this game has Jaylene dying some really insane death, typically by the romance character's hands after going feral. As Jaylene's floating under the water, the creature lunges for her, giving us another reason versus instinct choice. Either way, what Jaylene does doesn't really matter. Eventually she is brutally eaten by Bae. Oh, sorry, the creature of Blackwater. Now, if that wasn't fucked up enough, we skip a bit, switching to Bae's perspective. Bae is completely unaware of what she did in her feral state and is slowly dying, irradiated by the same water that's been infecting Sierra and the other zombies. As we end the scene with Bae crying, that she just wanted to live with Jaylene as she slowly dies, bleeding out, alone. Yeah, the game about a girl kissing monster lesbians and one bisexual gets fucked up. So, that's the bad ending. Let's go to the canon one. To do this, I have to go through the entire route again. It's not that bad, it is pretty easy to do. You just press tab and it'll skip to the next decision. As we get to the good ending, it's essentially the same till we reach the same reason and instinct choices. Instinct leads us to the same scene in the bad ending we had, but reason is where it changes. Jaylene is able to calm the creature down as it eventually recognizes her, and they have a cute little kiss. I love this CG, it's my everything, dude. It's a huge difference between the insane death we get for both in the bad ending. And honestly, I'm gonna frame this on my wall. Bae goes feral on the scientist. They embrace passionately in front of his rotting corpse as her body changes. Holy shit, is that Bae Adams? Wait, how is that possible? Are you telling me Bae is the creature of Blackwater? Nah, way, mate, nah. But unfunny sarcasm aside, they leave the lab, taking up from Sierra, who's healed after no longer ingesting any more of the sink water, and the duo eventually make their way to the Monster Sweethearts dance itself. Each route but Lyell's end here for their good endings, which if you think about it really sucks for Bae, because each and every other route, she's the only person actually planning the dance. But in this route, she actually gets to enjoy herself with the woman she loves. At the end of, again, every route but Lyell's, we get this really cute movie-inspired CG posters, and God, have I mentioned how much I fucking love this game and everything about it. These little posters are they're amazing little cute rewards for finishing the route and cement the little universal monster theme that's going on. I just wish there was an actual CG section in the menu itself where we could really see at least those ones. And Lyell deserves one. I get that she's not a universal monster, but Blake isn't either and she has her own poster. Give Lyell what she deserves, man. Bae's route is the one I'm glad I started first. It's not that I dislike Victoria or Lyell's route, I really don't, as I'm probably gonna make clear in Victoria's route. It's just that Bae's feels more like a natural progression of the prologue. We have Jaylin actually working with the characters to plan the dance. Route is a bit more linear and simple than the others. We have a natural growth between the two characters that doesn't involve some outside force as much as the others do. The threat of the strange zombies and pollution is much more of a looming and passive threat that finally climaxes near the end for the big reveal that yes, Bae and the Blackwater creature are one and the same. Victoria and Lyell's routes are still really good, but Bae's is always what I recommend someone to begin with. Both those routes expect us to have some sort of connection to the protagonist we most likely wouldn't have. Like, you don't particularly care that Jaylin might be in danger with the mysterious break-in, which is the catalyst for Lyell's route, if you aren't already engaged with her as a character and the game itself. Bae, as said, gives us a natural progression to the prologue, introducing us further to the other characters, giving us a taste of who we'll meet and learn more about later, as well as developing Jaylin as a character further, showing us a kind of side we didn't really see much in the prologue, even setting up some future plot points with the strange science experiments under the school. Anyway, it's time to move on to the ignorant party girl herself and expert gaslighter, Victoria Moritz.
I'm only staying if Jaylin is staying. We know each other, don't worry. You join up just to see me. No fun allowed.
Imagine me and you sitting in a tree, and you know how the rest of the song goes.
I'm sorry you have to see that. But anyways, we're here. Victoria Moritz, I fucking love her. But I really don't know where to start. She's a very interesting character. As we've seen in the prologue and Bae's route, her entire dynamic with Jaylin has just been hanging off someone who despises her. You can tell by how much I ranted and raved in Bae's route. I am genuinely so. I can't believe I wrote this. Monster sweethearts pilled that I named my chickens Victoria and Jaylin. Victoria is the loud and annoying and mean one, and Jaylin is the quiet one with attachment issues and separation anxiety. Surprisingly fitting. My computer background is also those two. One of the extra pieces from the art book, which, if you've made it this far and you have the money, definitely check it out. It's a whole single $, and the support for the dev would be amazing, I'm sure. It'd be super helpful to know this video actually did make a difference. As mentioned at the beginning of Bae's route, each route begins with a small, short conversation between Blake and Jaylin, just after the whole
"What are you guys?"
situation from the prologue. In this conversation, we just recap who Victoria is, being one of the popular girls on campus, largely known for being in a group who you can just imagine as the plastics from Mean Girls and you get their deal.
You're from Cuba? Why are you white?
Oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
We get a series of flashbacks in this route to various stages of the two's relationship. I'm just going to cover them all at once, so you understand the context instead of covering them as they come up in-game, which is pretty spread around the first half of the route. Our first scene, which would take place probably around 1981, for context this game takes place in September 2001. I don't think anything specific happened in the US around then, but correct me if I'm wrong.
There wasn't even a plane. I was starting to think there wasn't even towers, dude. I'd never been. Has anybody seen the towers?
With your own eyes, not a picture.
The scene details their initial meeting at kindergarten. Victoria is pushed to the corner for being an orphan, and being one herself, Jaylin empathizes with her as they bond, eventually playing together. So here Victoria mentions she's actually from Cuba, the town of Merrill. I did some research because for a long time I've been curious if it was a real place, or just kind of pulled it out of her ass and made it up. But it is actually a real place. I have no clue if this is an intentional detail or not, but Merrill had this big famous event in 1980 called the Merrill Boat Lift, where a bunch of Cubans left the country for the US. Presumably Victoria was on that boat with her parents before whatever happened and landed her in the orphanage. That's a super cool detail. Again, if it's intentional. I only connected these two dots making this video, and this is like my 4th or 5th time playing this route, As I've said a lot, I don't pay attention to this game aside from the pictures of Jaylene making out with whatever hot girl she is today. The second flashback is at the orphanage itself. We learn throughout this route, and C and Leanne's, they both grew up there together, at least before Victoria got adopted by a local doctor and moved out. Later leading to the popular girls in school wanting to integrate her, as now it was cool to know her. The scene is the last one before she moves out. What we see is Victoria gifting her these friendship bracelets I mentioned earlier. Ain't that cute? They hug, promising to be together forever. These flashback scenes do genuinely make me want to cry. Like, knowing what happens to these characters before the route starts and after, during the route, it hurts. It's so gut-wrenching. And I don't cry a lot, so that's real big praise for a video game to be able to do that to me. The next few flashbacks showcase their relationship slowly but surely deteriorating. Over the course of the next few years, Jaylene has tried to hold on to Victoria, becoming largely known as the girl who just kind of follows her around. During a party, Jaylene attempts to leave with Victoria, who kind of just goes off at her, seemingly about things she's held in for quite a while at this point. Jaylene runs out and slowly has a panic attack on the pavement outside, before being taken to a hospital a few hours later. So yeah, she has this mysterious heart defect. This hasn't been super relevant to mention just yet. So yeah, it is an absolute miracle that she survived.
Or is it?
We skip about a year later with Jaylene in hospital. Victoria finally visits her as she reaches for the friendship bracelet Jaylene has worn for all these years, doing the whole move on routine she does. No, Victoria, don't take the friendship bracelet, don't do it. She takes it, running off with her new friends. I can 100% see why someone would not like Victoria. She's absolutely insufferable for the first half of this game, and the flashbacks make her so easy to hate, which in my opinion makes the mending of their relationship a lot more powerful. But also, she's a hot bipolar bisexual brown girl with curly black hair, so what's a lesbian to do? Speaking of, bring back a Mirror Love, please. Bring her back, I'm fucking begging. Before we actually start with the present of the route, I want to talk about some timeline inconsistencies. Jaylene mentions in the second flashback it was during middle school. She specifically states it was 16 years ago, yet she would be 8. In the US, middle school doesn't start till a kid's about 11. Let's tweak this a bit. It was 12 years ago rather than 16, alright? If my math works, it probably doesn't. I'm not smart. So that fits them both being in middle school. Because otherwise they need to be like 30 years old. And despite being a really minuscule detail, it's always been bothering me ever since I played this game. Because, as you can tell by the length of this video, I'm probably autistic. It's actually time to go to the present of this route. Yay! We're here! We start off with some planning, although unlike Bay's route, we don't really get a lot of it. The trio of Bay, Jaylene, and Victoria are looking into catering, as we're introduced briefly to Alexis here. They have no relevance at all. I'm just mentioning it because they play a really large role in Blake's route, and I figured, like every other side character in this game, they just like drop from the sky when relevant. But no, she's actually here, it's actually foreshadowed. So the trio play around with the food, with Jaylene being freaked out, given half of them are like living tentacle monsters. We get a quick line from Victoria agreeing with Jaylene, which you could think is just her trying to kiss ass, but it's actually surprisingly relevant to working out what a monstrosity is, as like in Bay's, it's a big plot point. Aside from that, we don't get much planning done, as Victoria's constantly hanging off Jaylene, bugging her for attention. Full on puppy girl core. Oh my god. The stuff I've wrote in this like half of the video is gonna be the death of me, wow. So the planning continues as Jaylene and Taylor are trying to work out venue spaces. The two are eventually joined by Victoria. Yay! My wife is here. Oh. Okay, Xanfi's here too. Great. Cool. I really thought we finally shook her back in Bay's route, but apparently not. Anyway, Victoria offers to help a few times, all to no's, as eventually Xanfi, ever the amazing and caring person, chimes in, going all holier than thou, saying, I'm just gonna read this out for you. Victoria, when a girl says no, she means no. That is some... Oh, fucking hell, I hate this character, man. Like, do I need to explain? I don't need to explain. You've watched previously, my previous explanations. You don't need to explain why I hate that line so fucking much. I know she's doing that purely to piss Victoria off because she's probably like a Redditor and jerks off to people hating her or something. But like, Jesus. Like, I honestly don't know if she's written to be this hateable. I don't, but if she is, fucking congratulations, Lonely, because you succeeded in making me hate her so much. Eventually, Victoria is pushed to the corner, and if you had somehow forgotten the whole monster part of this game, or wrong side, monster part of the game, you'll be reminded pretty quickly. As Victoria's leg falls off, Jaylene is freaked out, but then Taylor does the whole
What?
Behind you! Look!
And being the slightly daft person we know from Days Are Out, she turns around, giving Victoria time to crack her leg back into place like it was dislocated, with this disgusting sound effect. It makes me want to vomit even talking about it again. And then the two proceed to gaslight Jaylene into thinking what she saw was a lot worse than what actually happened. Something Victoria loves to do in this route. So it's party time. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Victoria had been hyping up this whole party throughout the route where she'll finally start making amends with Jaylene and fixing everything. She very much doesn't. For the entire 6 hours, she's left alone in the corner of the room before Victoria finally runs up. Jaylene is rightfully pissed off at her and calls her out on the fact, to which Victoria starts guilt-tripping her. Every time I replay this route, I get whiplash because I just forget how much of a bitch she is. Anyway, Victoria drags Jaylene to her car as she vows they just need to have one final conversation and then they don't need to talk ever again. Also, funny detail, the same music in this argument between Jaylene and Victoria is used when there's like suspenseful action scenes, like with Van Helsing when at first we're led to believe she's a threat. If this is your first time playing, it's not going to be a big leap to think Victoria's going to like jump Jaylene or something. She would never do that. What? No, not Victoria. They have a big fight in the car, which I cannot summarize without just reading the lines for word because it's genuinely really well written. Jaylene just essentially calls her out on a lot of bullshit. How she tries to redeem herself and play the part of a friend, but all she really does is throw money around. They don't get very far as in their round Victoria crashes into something and Jaylene pushes her out to go check what it is. Eventually, Victoria runs towards the car and is pushed away by a mysterious force. Jaylene, understandably, given how Victoria has acted, thinks that she's just fucking with her. Eventually, we find her looking like this. I wonder what that gaping hole does. Jaylene freaks the fuck out, believing this is whatever pushed Victoria and took her away, and then collapses as she does. And here, she wakes up in Victoria's bedroom, of all places, seeing Victoria above her. Then someone walks in, the only side character in this route. I wonder what hot lesbian we're gonna meet today. Oh, that's not a lesbian you're saying? No, that's Mr. fucking Moritz, baby. I love this guy. He's fucking hilarious, not because of his dialogue, but because of the insane shit he does in this route. Specifically making the monsters that attacked Victoria last night. Anyway, back to Victoria. She starts trauma dumping.
Yawn.
She's dead. Like, dead. She's a zombie.
Okay, Anyan.
Victoria explains that when she was young, she got hit by a car and was just like completely dismembered. Her father, Mr. Moritz over here, then proceeded to put her back together, Frankenstein style. Fittingly enough, I was writing this very section during Frankenstein's Day itself. Did I ever know that existed before then? No. But happy belated birthday, Victoria Moritz! Woo! We're not done with the exposition just yet. Not that it's a necessarily bad thing here. It does need to be explained to get the plot moving now. Victoria isn't Mr. Moritz's only pet project. He tried similar experiments but they failed, escaping. Now it's Jaylene and Victoria's job to find them and hunt them. That's right, girls' night out, but we're hunting monsters apparently. Anyway, Mr. Moritz takes Jaylene aside and goes on about how he's aware Victoria and her don't have the greatest relationship, but she needs to be gentle? He's super vague about what that means, but attempts to explain that when she died, he fucked up something with her brain, and if Jaylene is too mean to her, he doesn't know what she's gonna do. I mean, she's kind of impulsive, but she won't do anything bad. Right? Okay. As you can see so far, Victoria hasn't been the greatest person in the first, half of this route. Exhibit A. Exhibit A. Gaslighting. Previously we have a scene where she does this whole, oh my god, Jaylene, are you sick? Do you have the flu right now? After she presumably detached her arm to hold Jaylene's. I don't really know what was going on there. Anyway, Exhibit B. Gatekeeping. I don't need to explain this one. The entire plot line is kind of her just being like, oh my god, Jaylene, if you don't want to do hard drugs and slut it out of the parties with me and my friends, you're not invited. You're not my friend anymore. Exhibit C. Girl bossing. Look, I've done this whole subtle foreshadowing bit, and I don't really need to explain it. You've probably seen the image flash before your eyes, like subliminal messaging. You'll see what I mean at the end, okay? It's monster hunting time. As Victoria takes Jaylene out to the forest at night to find one of the creepy little monsters we've yet to actually see. Anyway, Victoria explains the very complex plan of you're the bait, I'll shoot the monster. Here we are introduced to another glorious gameplay mechanic. Victoria instructs Jaylene to follow an extremely specific order on a trail. Left, right, left, left. Right, left, right, and finally left. We have to remember that. Or I guess write it down, but it's a lot easier to complain. To make it worse, once the monster's on Jaylene's trail, she automatically takes the left turn in a really missable dialogue line, making it so much more confusing. The amount of times I failed this section, cried myself to sleep, tried again and failed again, it's too much to count. I always forget this part when I'm playing through the game, and when I get there it makes me scream into the void. Again, I adore this game, but I really hope in the update, or remaster, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, this gets either removed, makes it skippable, or made just easier, because good god, I honestly, as much as I love this game, when I get to this part, it's made me want to stop playing a lot. If you're unlike me and actually successfully do the little memory game, Victoria is able to successfully kill the monster. Yippee! The monster was able to wound Victoria though, so Jaylene drags her to a college house. She successfully patches her up, and sweetly enough, they sleep together. Not like that, whoa guys, there's PG-13 Yuri here. At least till we reach the BDSM scene with Xanthi.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
If you want to jerk off to Lonely's naked characters, you need to wait for Cryptid Courting to come out, okay guys? Whenever that's gonna happen. Next scene has Jaylene stopping by Victoria's place for the first time. At least willingly, in years. What was that you just said? Oh, don't mind her. That's just Mary. We are greeted by the aforementioned Mary. A skeleton. This feels really irresponsible and dangerous to have your skeleton servant do that, but sure. Also, thank God Mr. Moritz did not do whatever the hell he did to her, to Victoria. Because imagine dying and then waking up as a sentient skeleton. Victoria is fucked up enough and insecure about her body without that extra body horror. Anyways, another Mary that Lonely's made from Cryptid Courting. There is no reason for me to mention this aside from the fact that I am waiting patiently and excitedly for it. Because I love my favourite dude bro Nessie. And Shy is essentially just Xanthi if she was actually charming. And I need my Yuri fix, please. Anyway, Jaylene and Victoria, for the first time, actually flirt. Well, Victoria's flirting with Jaylene, but she's not shooting her down, so that's progress. The flirting between the two is genuinely really adorable and it makes me feel things. These scenes also follow that. They're genuinely really good scenes, and I'm not going to summarize it because you need to experience it yourself, pattern I've got going on here. Anyway, next up we get this cute little interactive scene where you can click on one of 3 childhood photos of Jaylene and Victoria, and she'll make a cute little comment about it. Also, we get the canonical confirmation of Jaylen's adopted mother, Mrs. Lawson's age. She's at least 80 years old. And while we don't see her to Lyell's route, and I'm obviously not going to talk about that at all, but there's one good-looking 80-year-old. God damn, is she single and ready to mingle? Because, like, I need her and it's not even funny. The hunting continues, but I'll skip a good portion of it because it's not super relevant. All you need to know is that it's more of the same. You know, we have Victoria going like, oh my god, I love you, Jaylen. I'm so sorry for everything I ever did. And Jaylen's like, you're right. Let's work together to overcome our differences and try to become friends again. And then Victoria's like, oh my god, I love you, Jaylen. I'm sorry. It's one of my five. And then Victoria fucks up in one way or another. In this case, abandoning Jaylen randomly and only appearing just in time enough to save her from certain death. So yeah, sometimes they're not the healthiest relationship, but they're actually canon. Kind of. Okay, fine, not really. They canonically got married and moved to Louisiana in the 2020 cryptid recording demo, doing the gayest thing you can, and managing a bookshop together. That's so sweet and amazing. And Jaylen fucking takes Victoria's surname and becomes Mrs. Moritz. That's fucking adorable, oh my god. Maybe marrying the woman that almost got you killed like 7 times isn't the smartest, but I'm so for it. And that is the single greatest piece of fan service I've ever experienced. Anyway, is this actually canon? No. It's not. It's been like 5 years, and I think pretty much everything that Cryptid Recording did originally or was going to do is already uncanon. Anyway, I know it's not canon, but it's canon to me in my heart, and that is all that matters. Anyway, as they finish up with the hunting, we get the scene. That's right, the scene you've been waiting for. It's a makeout time. We're pretty close to the end. We're not Bay's level of waiting till like 3 scenes from the ending to see them finally officially get together. They argue a bit more because the ship is the epitome of toxic Yuri. And then Victoria reveals waking up in a body that isn't yours fucked her up. And it was easier to project those feelings onto Jaylen than it was to deal with them herself. Okay, walking, talking, trans allegory, we get it. But yeah, Llonelly is a genuinely really good writer here, and this is why Victoria is my favourite character, and her dynamic with Jaylen is the same. Victoria's development from essentially a shallow mean girl to someone who'll slowly dedicate her entire life to fixing things with the woman she loves is genuinely so moving. Like, that's beautiful. It feels like the quintessential route to me. Both characters change for the better, as some of the minor pieces of Jaylen's past are wrapped up and explained, but I'm acting like the route's already ended. It very much hasn't. They just finally make out. Here we get a scene that is very special to my heart. You can kind of see what's going on here. In itself, the CG isn't really that special, but it does mean a lot to me. I'm gonna get sappy for a bit here. So remember in the intro when I specified this game made me realise I was indeed a lesbian and felt comfortable using that term? Again, it's not a lot, it's just a makeout scene with some music in the background, but this was the first ever moment I got butterflies. At that very moment, it did hit me that I am indeed gay. As I said in the intro as well, I identified as bisexual for a very long time because it was easier. I didn't really look that deep into it. The scene kind of started me looking into my own sexuality and encouraged me to become comfortable with the word and helped me explore a more masculine side of presenting I do today. So yeah, this game means a lot to me, and now you know why. And now you specifically know why it's these 2 characters and this route that means everything to me. They have a very special place in my heart that probably won't ever disappear. And that's why I'm so adamant about making this video in the first place. So adamant about getting it out there and telling more people about it in hopes that they'll be interested in it and play it. It deserves a lot more than it has. It's been out for 6 years at this point, and there is so little about it out there. And if this video can get even a single person to go check it out in curiosity, I'll consider it a success. So we have our next and final hunting trip here, with the same plan as the very first one, even giving us that whole left, right, up, down shit Victoria gave Jaylen last time. Also, she doesn't even tell you again, so you just have to remember from that previous scene like 20 minutes ago. Llonelly, I love your stuff. I'm sure you're amazing and you're really creative. But how am I supposed to remember that really specific order of instructions? So yeah, look, as you can see in this image, shit's not going well. Victoria is slowly falling apart as she professes her love, saying she needs to make it right. In this absolutely fucked up moment, she musters the rest of her strength to run out and grab this tiny little box she had accidentally dropped. She successfully grabs it, but then gets torn apart by one of the monsters. The writing is genuinely really good in this scene, and obviously I'm really compacting it into like 2 sentences right now. Anyway, Victoria's dead, like actually for real this time, and we get a 2-week time skip. It's the night of the Monster Sweethearts dance itself, and Jaylene is still very much mourning. But wait, what's that? Victoria's alive! Oh my god, they can finally get back together, and she has a gun. Victoria shoots Jaylene, and if you didn't get it already, this is the bad ending of the game. If you've successfully body shamed Victoria enough, we get this insanely messed up ending. We get another perspective shift, like in our previous bad ending, where we get this very slow build-up as Victoria makes her way home, till we see this. She has cut her face open to look like her own face, strung her corpse up in her basement, and acts like she is still alive, kissing and professing her love to her corpse. Me and who, honestly, I want that type of love. This, I think, is kind of just a leftover from the whole cut content in the very original draft of this game. Victoria was going to go full stalker on Jaylene. Thank God that didn't happen, or my opinions on this character would be very different. There was also going to be a side character that was going to have sex with a dead body, so maybe I'm extra glad that didn't happen. So yeah, anyway, ignore the bad ending. Obviously it's not canon, and admitting that it is actually there means admitting she's a bad person, but she's my wife, and she's perfect, and we support women's wrongs too. And I made that joke in Base Route already, didn't I? So, it's the good ending time, and the one that is actually canon. As I tried to go back through the game to get the good ending, I kept getting the bad one so much, I almost cracked. Do I at all know what I did wrong? No. After like 5 tries of trying random dialogue options, I eventually got it working. So anyway, the same setup as before. Knock on the door, it's Victoria! This time she's indeed not holding a shotgun to Jaylene's face. She's holding that box. It's revealed that that's actually the friendship bracelets that was like briefly mentioned 30 minutes ago. And she's been holding on to them for all these years. She kept them and she treasured them. They didn't talk about how they mean everything to each other and they make their way to the dance. 2 childhood best friends, reconciling and becoming something so much more. I think you can gather that I love this game and I love this route and I love these characters. I cannot overstate that enough. These 2 characters genuinely changed me as a person and made me better. I became comfortable with who I was because of these characters, but they helped me work my way through a lot of other issues as well. I've been in similar situations to Jaylene, and I've had multiple friendships with people like Victoria that ended in similar ways. And playing this game did help me cope and come to terms with a lot of stuff I'd been bottling up for years. One of my favourite aspects of this part of the game is that it doesn't beat around the bush and goes right to the plot. Like the prologue having little unnecessary filler. Unlike Bay's route, which takes a long time to even show Bay's fish form in full and officialise whatever odd relationship they have got going on in that corner of the game, or like Lyell's, which is very, 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 very slow to set up anything, it takes no time to get Victoria and Jaylene together properly and begin the slow mending of their relationship, no matter how many bumps there are. I'm not sure if it actually is, but Victoria's route feels significantly shorter than the others. Although I might be wrong specifically with Bay's, and I probably think that because it took me like 2 months to get through Bay's route because of how busy I was, and then I just went through this route in like a week. So I'm not really a fan of how inconsistent the relationship is in the route. A few times they'll kind of go from professing their love to each other to instantly calling each other little bitches. And clearly I don't like the directions minigame we've got going on there, which I've gone through so many times, I've memorised it. It's really unnecessary, but it's worth it to me to go through because this route is just written that well. I also have to be grateful it's not like that one in the Zanfuse route, where the antagonist is like, riddle me this, Lawson. What is a mammal with wings that flies and is associated with vampires? And is all shocked when you say bats. Bats. Shit. Bats. Shit. Bats. Shit, really? Anyway, that's Victoria. We're done. Onto the final part. Time to move past her and towards Lyell. Remember her? Probably not. She's had a whole 2 lines in the past previous routes, and they're both in Victoria's.
I'm not a pervert, but I got these 2 dogs, and everyone says how beautiful they are, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I have them, because I want people to think they're so cute, and then sit on my face. But nobody's sitting on my face, so what gives?
As you can see, I've gone all cowboy for this one. Yeehaw! Here we are at the Lyell Howling Show! Woo! So this is the final part of the game I will be covering, although again, there are 3 more other routes, that's very good. Xanthi, Blake, and Leanne, not in that order, each have their own routes I again won't be covering. So anyway, this might not be the most interesting part of the video, mainly due to the fact that much like Leanne, I don't particularly have a strong opinion for or against her. She's a hot butch woman, that's a plus in her favour, but aside from that, look, let's dive into our favourite butch werewolf, because yeah, it's not much of a secret in this one. On the game's page, the Lyell section is all like, oh, she takes a break every full moon. No one knows why. As if Xanthi and Victoria don't look directly into the camera and state, she's a werewolf, 1 scene in. So obviously, as you can see, Lyell Howling doesn't wear a cowboy hat, but I thought it'd be funny, and that's pretty much about this entire video. But anyway, there's not a whole lot going on in the opening conversation with Blake this time, aside from the whole, wow, isn't she so hot and tall and strong? Which kind of comes up a lot more than you'd think in this part of the game. I get it, tall, strong butch women, but it gets a bit odd later when half the scenes are like, God, I wish she could crush me with her bare hands. Which is really fucking hilarious, and I'm not trying to judge. We also get a joke in the next scene where we get the glorious return of Leanne, as we get a joke about her eating crayons. I don't care that it's a joke, it's canon to me. We are right into the gay fluff in this route, which is pretty much what a majority of this part actually is. Jaylene is getting some art supplies from a tall shelf as she falls from the chair she was balancing from. Uh-oh, but have no fear, Lyell Howling is here, grabbing her mid-air as we get the long-awaited return of the bridal carry. I wasn't particularly a big fan of Lyell's dialogue in the prologue. It wasn't bad per se, it just didn't make me feel anything. It's fixed pretty quickly here though in her route itself, as the writing for her lines are so much better and more enjoyable, especially if I put on my horrible southern accent as I read through her lines. Careful darling, you could have hurt yourself. Like, come on, is that not the greatest thing you could ever do? Like, I don't care even how badly written her lines could possibly be, that makes it so much more entertaining if you just imagine she has the worst, fakest southern accent you could ever come up with. We very quickly get to the catalyst of this route, a mysterious person breaking into Jaylene's house. We don't see much before Jaylene mysteriously collapses, aside from the door being torn apart by totally not werewolf claws, guys, trust me. After falling unconscious, she wakes up in the woods, with Lyell randomly standing in front of her. A bit suspicious, but alright mate. She takes her to her silly little ranch we can see here outside of town. Honestly, this here is peak living. A little ranch outside of town with your silly little werewolf girlfriend sounds like the best life someone could ever ask for. Anyway, this is pretty much just the entirety of the route. Jaylene and Lyell living in their silly little cottage called life. As totally just friends, guys. They just so happen to sleep in the same bed and stare longingly at each other 3 inches apart. We get a little moment here where, much like we can interact with the childhood photos in Victoria's route, we can interact with some of the stuff in Lyell's house. It's not a lot, really just the TV and the bed, giving us a small description of what Jaylene sees, hears, and smells. But it's a cute little detail that gives a teeny weeny bit more of life to the house we'll come to spend a long time in. It's also pretty obvious at this point Jaylene is already crushing hard on Lyell, blushing, giggling, kicking her feet, the whole shebang. But she's not gay, guys. Stop saying that. She's not. She just kissed a girl that one time, and the time before that, and the time before that. That doesn't make anyone gay. There's not super many scenes with Jaylene's whole grappling for sexuality thing, but I think it could have been done a teeny weeny bit better. It's kind of just Jaylene turning to the camera and being like, I'm not gay, Greg, and then passionately making out with Lyell. The one thing I like about Amira in Cryptid Courting was that she was out and proud, even though, yeah, she didn't have a lot of personality. I hope in the next update the whole questioning sexuality thing could be played into more effectively. It's a really interesting concept that, if done well, could do a lot to Jaylene's character. Talking about Cryptid Courting again, and the update, I'm so glad Victoria's redesign did not go the route that Cryptid Courting and Stuck in You did, with its really weird redesign where, like, They all have really big stylized noses and lips that make me really uncomfortable. That shit triggers the uncanny valley for me, and I hope to God someone understands what I feel. Lyell, the next day, drives her to class. They're finally at the uni again, which we haven't spent a lot of time in since Bay's route, as Blake is there to greet her, confused why Jaylene randomly disappeared and came back later on with a cop. There was this whole scene with Lyell, the sheriff, and Jaylene heading back to the house, try and jog her memory on whatever the hell happened. The only thing they really get out of her is that the door seems off, which we can also notice ourselves given the fact that that giant scratch is gone, with Jaylene commenting that, maybe it was replaced. Isn't Lyell a carpenter? Anyway, they're all super hush-hush about what happened, which I understand Jaylene's perspective. She doesn't particularly know what is happening right now. But shouldn't the sheriff be interviewing the people that live at the crime scene, right? Like, maybe she's just so incompetent that she got sent into the middle of fucking nowhere, which would be pretty fitting since Cass, the sheriff, does nothing worthwhile in this entire game. Kinda just pissing off every once in a while to cry in the corner, or whatever cops do in a town that has like 300 max people. Anyway, tracing back to Jaylene, her housemates could be in active danger. Just leaving the house and not telling them anything to go fuck around in the woods with the local butch is kind of insane. Like, we know nothing about what happened at that house, and it could happen again to them. Anyway, Jaylene heads to the school's library, and she goes through some of the werewolf books to understand Lyell a bit better. We get 4 options, 3 of which are the books, and the final one is just leaving. Clicking on one gives us a short description of the book and what Jaylene gets out of it, before putting us back to the dialogue section here. In the second book, we get a quick line, which I'll just read out. When a werewolf breed, they have a chance of birthing a wolf with white hair. This is seen as a bad omen and considered genetically weaker. Plot relevance alert. Remember this, because I sure as hell did not. So just a few scenes earlier, we had another break-in attempt, this time at Lyell's place instead, which after Lyell found Jaylene freaking out in the corner, she just avoids the topic of what happened. She's been having some other sus moments about as well. Namely, randomly stripping Jaylene and changing her clothes when she was unconscious, which is really golden since half her personality is like, oh man, I wouldn't want to intrude or overstep the boundaries. Eventually, Lyell does get off her ass and actually asks Jaylene about what she saw. She explains, and we can quickly understand how Lyell reacts. She knows A, who this is, and B, why it's happening. Yet she does not elaborate, and she is withholding this information from Jaylene and the player. There's some holes in the way Lyell acts, and I'm sure as hell gonna poke them. This is the other part I don't really like about her. As I said, she's more aware of what's happening compared to both Jaylene and the player ourselves. I get this is a game, it needs suspense, it needs plot, it needs mystery. But in a realistic scenario, Lyell would piss me the fuck off. Purposely hiding this information from Jaylene and putting her into active danger. The two are back at Lyell's house, almost literally Netflix and chilling, watching some bad Hallmark movies. Somehow they're gay, and about gay werewolves. I'm not sure where she found them, but I really want to know where. Who is your supplier for gay smut? In 2001? In a rural town in America? Anyway, it's a really weird movie that details the main character working in a fast food shop with her dumbass friend, with a love interest, who's a lesbian werewolf, comes in, saves her from being harassed by a creepy guy, then they get together. Sound familiar? The next day, the two go and carve. Here, I want to mention something that Lyell's done a few times before. Every time Jaylene's been like, no, I don't really want to do that, like, in the scene, Lyell always does a big frown and shows off her puppy dog eyes and accidentally guilt trips Jaylene into doing it. Victoria was more of a metaphorical puppy girl, but Lyell, she's the real deal. Anyway, we get our first look at Lyell's werewolf form. They aren't real werewolves in this game, per se. They're kind of more just like low-budget cosplay you'd see some random furry on the street wearing like cheap animal ears and a tail. Shit, wrong photo. Check the fucking slide. There we go. Because, you know, for werewolves would be way too weird, guys. Lonely's not a furry. We're introduced to a side character here. Welcome, Hazel. She is Lyell's hot-ass sister, and she is the most attractive-looking character in this game, and probably the second most attractive character Lonely's ever made behind, like, Victoria's redesign. Yes, I have a type, and I'm proud. Anyway, she drags her kids in too, namely Little Ray. I fucking love this kid. He's adorable. I love him so much. He's just a little dude. Like, oh my god, he's a little man. What's up, little guy? What are you doing? He's so neat. He's like one of the best characters in this game, despite having like 5 lines. I love him. Next scene, we go back to the college as we meet Cecil. Damn. She's this really cute bush woman with white hair. I'm just gonna say it here, the characters in this route are so fucking hot. It's insane. Josie, who we met earlier, aka the living embodiment of a pug. Then we have Cecil, Hazel, and the next character we'll meet soon, Jamie, are insanely gorgeous. This entire route is just one elaborate mog battle between the characters to see who gets mating rights to Jaylene, and I'm so here for it. Anyway, she asks for directions, conveniently leading to the classroom next to Jaylene's. They have a surprisingly nice conversation before Cecil asks her out, being interrupted by Hazel. Hazel is very aware of who Cecil is, as we come to learn soon, so does Lyell. Here, Hazel drops the fact that Cecil did in fact not even have classes today, as she begins to break character, cursing at Hazel. I'm not going to prolong this, it's pretty obvious at this point already. Cecil here is who broke into Jaylene's house and has been stalking her ever since.
It's you! It's you! How could you, man? How could you?
Which is a fucking shame. Because, like, Cecil is the most charming character in this game. Like, I'd fall for this shit. So you might be wondering why I was doing this whole elaborate bit about Lyell seeming a lot more suspicious than she actually is in-game. And it's because that's how I saw it when I first played this part of the game, and I was 100% convinced there was going to be some fucked up plot twist like Victoria's bad ending where Lyell took this like scary turn. Apparently that was going to be part of the game as well, with the cut content suggesting that Cecil's whole plan was to manipulate Jaylene into thinking Lyell was dangerous. So I presume that might be hints left over from that. Also, speaking of cut content, I want to rant about the concept art in this game's art book for 1 second. It's a whole $1 US, by the way. Ain't that a steal? Oh, who's that, you're asking? Oh, that's just Gravel Simpson. Don't mind her. She's always been there. The second image adds this really weird shiny shit filter. And that's when I realised, looking at this image, this entire game has it. Like, I'm not insane, right? You see this too. So in the art book, I've mentioned briefly that we have some non-canon side fics relating to a range of silly little topics. Mostly silly little topics, but the one I want to rant about for a few minutes is the one called Monster Daycare. I love it. It's fucking amazing. And it's a Jaylene X Blake fic. Jalake? Larones. Whatever. Jaylene X Blake fic about the two working at, you guessed it, Monster Daycare. All the main monster characters are like 2 years old, which sounds fun on paper, but why are Xanthi and Victoria included in this? The daycare fic is genuinely my Pandora's box, because it suggests one of two things. A, this is a world where the monsters casually exist alongside humans, crypt recording style. Anyway, Victoria Moritz at this time might be human, and she has a daycare together with some of the monsters. Sure, we have no real reason to think that might not be it. We could reasonably think that Xanthi is a blood vampire. I think that's the term Skin uses, which is for a vampire that is born from 2 vampires and ages really slowly like Lanfy in this game. But in canon, Xanthi is a bitten vampire, so that would be a really odd change to make. Or, the more fucked up one, B. This is a specific secret monster school. This is insane because this suggests that Victoria is dead. She's 2 years old. Has she gone through the car accident already? Was she stitched back together with baby parts? I had this whole body horror rant about how I was going to be like, oh my god, this means Victoria is stuck in the body of a 2-year-old for her entire life. But I forgot she ages normally. Like, she got hit by the car when she was like 12, and she looks like a perfectly normal 23-year-old here. So ignore that point. But Xanthi, the point stands here. Is she in a similar situation? She's a vampire and they don't physically age. Has she not been bitten yet? Or like I said, is she a blood vampire? If she hasn't been bitten yet, this would make the 4 out of 5 monster class to 3 out of 5, which would make a lot more sense and support A. Anyway, back to what I'm actually supposed to be talking about. Here's Jamie. Say hi to Jamie, everyone. She is another side character who will appear in 2 of the later routes. And as I said, they are fucking hot. You did not need to build her like that, Lonely. But anyway, she has this cryptic conversation with Jaylene about how Lyell is set in her ways and mentions consequences. Clearly she's in some shit. Also, she gets hit on. She forces Jaylene to touch her abs. Does anyone in this fuck-ass town know what consent is? Anyway, this entire scene made me think that Jamie could have been the stalker of how they were acting. And I think if Lonely played into the whole whodunit aspect, it could have been a lot more interesting and engaging. Especially if these characters were introduced a lot earlier in the game, except for this near halfway point that they are now. So while we're going through all that fluff with Lyell, we would have some sort of underlining mystery of which person the stalker might be. So throughout this route, Lyell has kind of just randomly dipped, and conveniently Cecil would appear and do her whole attempted to break in routine. Namely, this happens with the sheriff as she drags Lyell away to do something or other really vague, and Lyell is all like, "Genius, let's abandon Jaylene, who's being stalked in the middle of the woods, in my cabin, with its unlocked door." If you couldn't tell, this is another main reason I have my problems with Lyell as a character. By being too passive, she's giving Cecil the chance to hurt both of them. I completely get why Lyell is immobilized. She says it herself, she's horrified of what can and would happen. But comparing her to Bay, which I do because they are characters who handle the conflict in very similar ways, both protect Jaylene by avoidance, but in Bay's case, it's more of just trying to get her away from the whole monster-related business. But with Lyell, it's kind of just covering her ears and hoping it goes away. So after having dinner with Lyell and her family, Jaylene gets back, but has lost her phone in Lyell's car. And since Cecil knows where Lyell lives and has been stalking Jaylene this entire time, it very clearly goes wrong. We have the final confrontation here already, with Cecil dragging her out into the woods. Anyway, she's kept hostage until we have our instinct versus reason choice, which dictates our ending. As usual, we'll do the band ending first. Reason has Jaylene screaming as Lyell howling arrives at the scene.
It's time for
Cecil
versus
Lyell.
She then beats the ever-living hell out of Cecil and leaves her to bleed out in the woods. We get a quick scene that details how this essentially just broke Lyell, causing her to eventually kick Jaylene out and just move out of Blackwood, leaving both of them forever. At least Jaylene wasn't torn apart horribly this time, at least physically. It's instinct time, and admittedly this choice is kind of the same, because Jaylene does the whole same thing of trying to get Lyell to save her, but I guess slightly less coaxing her into fighting. But anyway, Lyell attempts to talk her down this time, and we get context on why Cecil's doing everything she's doing right now. For being a white hair, and for being born the way she is, she's deemed lesser, she was abused physically and emotionally by her family, and taking down Lyell is the only way she thinks is changing that. Eventually Lyell does get to Cecil, saying that the system won't change, and that she needs to fight against it, not try and win its love. Surprisingly touching and deep theme from this game, and I have to give this route a lot of credit for that. Cecil leaves, giving Jaylene and Lyell a chance to have a heart-to-heart, and a really sweet one at that. We get a surprisingly realistic depiction of a butch woman, especially one that lives in a rural town here, as she recounts all her previous relationships have been with women who see her as an experiment first. We get, of course, another bridal carry, because this is Monster Sweethearts. As much as I'm not connected to Lyell and her out, the scene, just as the other ending romance scenes, are insanely well written, and they do make my little lesbian heart aflutter. Even if it's very on the whole, Lyell is huge and gigantic, and Jaylene is soft and ulu, yaoi style. All the masked women, even the Vietnamese woman somehow, are like 5'11" or above. Not judging, I get it. Hot masked women are my type too, don't worry. And that's it really. There's a bit more scenes largely of Cecil's redemption, working to fix the damage she's caused, even fighting alongside Lyell against her own family who comes at her seeking revenge, and helping Jaylene tend to Lyell's wounds. It's a really sweet and earned redemption, and we get to see who Cecil is past that creepy little mask she wore to get to Jaylene. We also get a quick mention of the fact that Cecil and Josie are going to the Monster Sweethearts dance together, and I ship that shit so bad. But of course, Josie is one of the two canonical street girls in this entire game. But seriously, the other routes, we end with the dance and the two characters proclaiming their love for each other. Again, I may not particularly care for Lyell, but this route is still very good, even if it's pretty padded with fluff, as I've said before, which I'm sure many people out there would enjoy, especially if you did Lyell's route the last of the three like I did, as you're already connected to Jaylene and the world. I feel like I didn't write the summary for this part of the game very well, mainly due to the fact that I don't overall care for it. Again, not that it's poorly written, or the characters aren't good, they very much are, Just that Lyell isn't the most interesting character and her relationship with Jaylene doesn't feel as inspired as the others to me. There's no conflict in this relationship and it feels overly simple to me. Not that they need to be toxic, I get how that comes off from someone like me who loves Victoria and Jaylene. Just in Bae's route we have that conflict of when will Bae tell the truth? And yeah, we kind of have that, but we don't know what that secret is and have no connection to wanting to know aside from the fact that we just want to learn about what the fuck is actually going on. I get that a lot of people may like the harmless fluff, and I definitely do. It's just that it's hard to talk about in a summary like this because a good portion of the route isn't important to mention. The story, although a bit up and down in engaging events, is overall interesting. Learning about the world of politics is a really unique perspective with this game, as they're more personal conflicts typically. Not that the one of Cecil and Lyell isn't personal, it's more just fueled by world society than anything. As I've mentioned previously, all the fluff isn't exactly meaningless, as obviously it serves the plot to see the two characters grow. I'm just personally not as big as a fan as Lyell as I am, say, Bae. Her personality isn't all too interesting, as it's kind of just Bae, but not. They're both loners who keep to themselves, have strong bonds with the local store owner, unintentionally lead to Jaylene being stalked, take their work very seriously, have complex family problems, and hide important information from Jaylene relating to their monstrosity. That was a lot, but you see the point.
In front of the lesbian flag. On the back I wrote this beautiful poem. Not a man, just a woman with a masculine side. Short hair, long jorts, longer strap, hashtag butch pride.
Hey, so originally this was going to be the first part of 2. I was later going to cover Xanthi, sadly, Lyell, our favourite 16-year-old's first original character, and of course, Blake. But then I realised it kind of goes against the reason I even created this video. I may eventually, because I definitely love these characters and want to talk shit about them. I want to talk about how I like Blake's route and all the experiments that route did with its unique perspective shifts, how much I despise Xanthi and everything to do with her route, and think of Lyell as one big missed opportunity. She was going to be a fucking alien, that's awesome! And also, something on the nose I spotted while recording this specific part of the video was her name is Alien without the A, and that is the most on-the-nose bullshit to ever be cooked up for a video game, and I love that so much. But the reason I made this video was to spread the word, because this game is overly underrated. It genuinely changed me, and that's super weird to say about a 2019-year-old gay visual novel, but still. It deserves so much more attention and love than it actually gets. And I am really worried that this video will come off as one of those, like, 2-hour-long videos of a white guy summarising a book word for word and adding nothing of substance to it. And I realised if I continued and did cover the 3 other routes, it would 100% just become that. And at that point, I'm taking away from someone just playing the game themselves. And since we are talking about Xanthi and Lyell, I want to talk about how to access the routes for a second, as obviously I didn't cover that. So essentially how it works is that you need a specific order of dialogue options to access them, even after you've previously played through them and unlocked them. And sure, they kind of make sense, but it's really hard to get to without going to the game's page, going to the update subpage, and then checking the little guide section at the very bottom. I wish these two just worked like the others did, where once you've unlocked the initial 3, they'll just appear in the section where you talk to Blake. It would make this whole thing a lot easier to go through. But anyway, you've made it this far. Clearly you are interested in this game. Check it out. Make a comment. Download the game. Support the dev with the many other links down there. Whatever you can do, I know it will be appreciated. And once you're done, come back to this video and make a comment here and tell me what I can do better. If I was too vague in the summary or did it way too much, especially because this went way longer than I wanted, even after cutting out like 30 minutes of shit. I'll have no problem if someone comments this part's shit because X and Y, because criticism is the only way I can improve. It also sucks extra because I kind of dug myself into a hole here by giving myself a due date of Halloween to beat Lonely releasing the recut of the game. So I'm not super content with the way I wrote some of the script and edited some of the video. But hey, it's done, it's out there, so I'm proud. But seriously, any little bit helps if I ever decide to make another video, one based on Lonely's work or not. Though as I said, I might eventually cover the rest of the routes, if I think what I can say about them is actually impactful. But yeah, Monster Sweethearts. I adore this game, but it's not perfect, as I've said at the very beginning. But if it was, man, I wouldn't even be talking about it here. Its flaws make it lovable and goofy, the spelling mistakes, the outdated references, all of that just adds to the charm. From what I've seen, most people who play this game, or at least when they first played the game, were about high school age, which is fitting since I believe Lonely herself was about 17 when she released the game. I don't know if you're like 20, you get the same enjoyment as a 17-year-old, like the age I was when I first played this game, but it's definitely worth a try. As I've said previously, my biggest worry is this game becoming unrecognizable past this Halloween update. I don't want perfect writing, characters, or art. I just want it to be charming, endearing, and lovable, like it is today. So, I'd like to thank you for listening to a dumb 18-year-old talk about her favourite video game. And if anything, I hope you check it out yourself. Thank you for watching, and Lonely, thank you for writing, drawing, and coding these amazing characters. They mean a hell of a lot to many. And happy 6th anniversary, Monster Sweethearts. Maybe I'll do a video on Cryptid Recordings 2020 demo once I actually find the time to do that. And if of course Lonely is cool with someone covering her long since deleted and cancelled game, I downloaded it from an adult game site because it was the only place we decided to archive it. I'd have to create a burner email, so pray I don't have a fucking Trojan on my laptop. I swear I get up to normal things in my spare time. Goodbye. Have an amazing night, day or afternoon, and hopefully I will see you again. And ending note, Jailing canonically has Alexandria's Genesis.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.